have sunglasses on so I can't see my screen, but do y'all see all these birds? I think they're migrating always in like September, October time. I see a ton of birds like this.
Welcome to a new video. I'm gonna go through the weekly CBR, starting out with our weekly quote, which is, "We ought to always try to influence people for the good," by Ellen Montgomery, because a lot of people struggle to do that, and I mean, it happens so much, and it's sad. So we always want to be a good person. For the weekly TBR now, we had the one that I read in the morning, I've already read as yesterday and here today, and that is Misbehaving at the Crossroads. I messed up again. I always say Misbehavings. It's Misbehaving at the Crossroads by Honoré Fannin Jeffers. So that is my and that's about being like a Black woman in the United States. It's a symphony of essays on Black womanhood. That's what Emily Rateau said on the blurb. Next we have the main focus of the vlog. Sadly, this is still what I'm reading. Is Kidnap, the story of the Lindbergh case by George Waller. This is about the Lindbergh case. We're currently on the trial part. Next, I started this last night. This is my current mood read. This is The Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. The Roanoke Girls, there's a place called Roanoke. It's this big, almost castle in Osage Flats, Kansas. And there's something with these girls. They either vanish or they die. We can say die on here. And we have Lane, who her mother commits suicide, and you know, Lane is 15, so she has to go. She gets in the system, but her grandparents are like, we want her, bring her to Kansas, and goes to Kansas to live with her family there. Also at the house is Allegra, who is Lane's first cousin, who Allegra's mother vanished after giving birth to her, so Allegra has been raised by their grandparents. So that is one timeline of Lane meeting her family for the first time. Next we go, I think it was 10 years into the 11 years later, we have Lane is living in Los Angeles, and she gets a call from her grandfather who says Allegra has gone missing. So Lane makes her way and is like, please come home to help us find her. So Lane goes back to Kansas to help find her cousin, and she might meet some people from her past. Second chance for romance, but this is a thriller, so don't be thinking this is predominantly romance. Next we have my ebook, which is Edge of Eternity, Book 3 of the Century Trilogy by Ken Follett. And we're seeing the collapse of the Soviet bloc. We're seeing the Soviet Union collapsing. That's what's happening in there right now. And those are all of the books that I am currently reading. I cut my bangs last night, and they've just been like everywhere today. I can't get them right. And let me actually move that up a little bit. So I read 92 pages in Kidnap, getting me to page 76, and I only made one note and that whole time, and that is that this section, these chapters are so long. The majority of the chapters are over 20 pages in length. At the start of the book, it was very like narrative nonfiction. Now that we are at the trial, it's a bunch of dialogue, because we're seeing the trial like play by play. And it just gets so tedious for me to read, especially when it's going on 20 pages and we don't really have like an intermission, because we just, you know, go from one chapter to the next and it's all the trial. And I'm somebody who, I'm not like a law room thriller kind of person. Like, I don't like legal stuff. I don't like it. So this section that has been so long, I mean, over 200 pages now at this point, and that is just way over the top for me. It does not intrigue me. I don't really care. It has not been for me. I think this is going to be somewhere like, if you do 2 plus 3 divide, which will be 5, divide by 2, that's what the rating of this book is going to be. So I think that I don't know, I feel like I should put it as a 2-star and on Goodreads. I should finish on a Wednesday if things keep going according to plan. That is saying I'm reading like 50 pages every day, at least 50 pages. So I mean, we might even finish it tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be on Wednesday. So I'm not going to go to the beach this week because I'm just gonna send my dad on his own because I need to finish this book. I need to finish this book. I need to. It's driving me crazy. I want to be done with it already. And then the next one, because I just go by going from the longest books on my TBR. That it's the TBR video, you know, that I did at the start of the month. It's those books. I just sort it by longest, reading the longer ones first and the shorter books at the end. I might have to throw in my graphic novel just to have a palate cleanser after reading this book. I always knew this book was going to be really daunting and all because I'm not a true crime person, and it is a big beefy book that is over 60 years old, so I was intimidated going in, but I don't think you need to be if true crime is your jam. It just isn't my personal preference. I got this book as a gift, so yeah, so that's all for right now. I doubt that I will have an update for you later tonight. I might, you never know. But I am loving my hair today, even though I told you all the bangs are crazy. The makeup, like, I look cute today, and we love that. So I'm gonna go get Delilah, and I gotta feed the cats. Don't want to trigger them. Gotta do that, and then feed myself, and I also have to edit today's sit-down video that I filmed, which will be my book unhaul. Getting comfy as much as I can in this chair. Yeah, I can't have my desk chair in here. I do not have room. I do not have room for anything. Like, no. Yeah, so I'm just on this bar stool, and like my back and everything, they don't appreciate it, but you know, it's whatever. So I got to, I think it was 77% in Misbehaving at the Crossroads. You know, I started slowly so I could get the name right. And something that I've picked up on recently is that this is just so conversational, and I don't want that y'all to think that is me like diminishing the book or anything, because that just makes it so much easier for me to understand, because we are going into really hard topics and like historically, and that is happening in the author's, like what has happened in her life. So just reading it in that way, I think just makes it so easy to understand and to digest. And for me, I love when a writer can do that. I've always loved her writing style in fiction and now in nonfiction, like where I'm just like, yes, completely understand what she's saying. And I think that is so important, because I know a lot of people, when they see nonfiction, and they can be daunted by that. And then with her fiction, Love Songs is, I mean, it's a thick book. It's over 500 pages, and a lot of people, they see that and they're like, that's intimidating. But once you actually get into the writing style itself, it's very, see, I feel like if I'm saying easy to digest, people are gonna take that in a negative way. But no, it makes it easier to read these hard topics, which you are still getting the impact that these things are awful and just how bad stuff is. And it's just like, oh my gosh. But it just gets the point across so well. So that's my update on there, my last one before I finish the book. I have no idea when I'm going to finish the book, because today's was like 17 pages, when yesterday's essay was only 4 pages. So I can't give y'all an idea of when that book will be finished. Y'all can just see when I did my 50% update and see how long it took me to read 25% of the book. And yes, I look so pale because of the line in here. See if I go over here, that's like more concise. But yeah, it's just the sun right there. Yeah, so that's my update. I need to get some more water because I'm very thirsty. Time to do my update on Kidnap. I got to 91%. I only have 50 pages of the book left, so I will be finishing it on Wednesday, and that means I'm not going to go to the beach tomorrow because I really want to prioritize finishing this book, so I'm sending my dad on a side quest. We have Kidnap here, and I read 83 pages today, and I do have notes. So we're at, you know, I've got past the trial, and now we're at the appeal. Sorry, moving cups around so I can lay my book flat. Yes, my desk is always a mess, always. Okay, so our tab here, I could have sworn I did too, but I don't see the orange tab. But with these old books, you know, sometimes it's hiding because the pages are like yellow. Okay, no, I did it all as well. I put it all in one place. So y'all know I was struggling. I'm like, what is the motive of, like, I didn't understand, if you're gonna kidnap the baby, why kill the baby? Like, you're kidnapping this famous celebrity baby because you're gonna hold him for ransom and get money. That makes sense. Which, I mean, it doesn't, like, don't do that. But, you know, in the eyes of a crime, like, it's like, okay, all that adds up. So I'm like, so now, you know, we had this trial of this man, this couple really, who are accused of being the kidnappers, being the killers. And they do come from poverty. They're immigrants and all of that. So they've struggled. So it would make sense of why you would do the ransom and all of that. Again, we are in the Great Depression. Okay, so how do they know that the family is at that house when they typically wouldn't be at that house? So that's why I'm still like, I think that somebody connected with the family did the crime. Now, I have a crazy crackpot theory that Anne Morrow, who was the mother of the baby, like, I think maybe she started realizing this wasn't the life that she wanted, so she set this whole thing up with her family. But that's a crackpot theory. Like, that's just a crazy theory I had. No, I don't think that's the number one theory, I should say. So, I just think that, as I was saying, that as this typically, the family wouldn't typically be there and all that, somebody had to know if they're going to kidnap this baby. So I think it had to be somebody connected to the family somehow, the staff, whatever. But now, okay, so this was a robbery gone wrong, in a sense. That this man, Bruno, he went to the house to rob the house. The baby is collateral. They break into the baby's room because that's where they notice the shutters aren't closed all the way. They break into that room and because they think the family's not going to be there because they typically wouldn't be there on a Tuesday. They get there, they get in the room and they're like, the baby's here. Oh my gosh, what do we do? Knock the baby out because the baby did have like blunt force trauma to the head. And a fracture in his skull, and that's what killed him. So knock him out because we don't need, you know, a distraction. We don't want the baby to start crying and it gets everybody, you know, awake and gets the robbers caught, or robber it seems to be. And then they're like, oh no. Well, okay, then what did the baby notice something? We gotta kill him because, you know, we don't want any witnesses. Or maybe that when they knocked the baby out, that killed him, and they're like, what do we do with the body? And sorry, my phone just went off. They're like, what do we do with the body? They take the body and, you know, put him in the woods, and everything that happened. But my thing with this, I do not understand how, if it was Bruno, how that connects to the rest of the story with the gang of kidnappers and all of that. Like, I don't understand how this courtroom was able to connect all of that. To me, it just doesn't add up. And that's why we are having the appeal, because we have a new governor of New Jersey who doesn't think things added up and doesn't think the man accused of the crime and who has been tried for the crime and is sitting on death row, he does not think that man is the kidnapper and the killer. He doesn't believe that. So that's what we're reading now. Again, I have like 50 pages left of the book, but yeah, a lot of this courtroom stuff just goes right over my head. I told y'all earlier, it might have been in this vlog, it might have been in last week's, I just don't understand that stuff. It never has like glued itself in my mind. I don't know why people must be able to understand it who aren't lawyers, but for me, I have a really hard time. But like in my favorite book this year, Small Great Things, that is like one of the big things in the book is a trial, and I had no problem there. I think that, but well, I think it's because it's somebody, we're seeing Ruth, who has never been on trial before, it's never been arrested before, but all of that happens to her, so we're learning as she's learning about it. So maybe that's why I had a better time with that rather than this big nonfiction where I'm just like, I don't know what happens in a courtroom. I've gotten to over a quarter of the way into the Roanoke Girls, so I want to just go over my thoughts at this point in the book. It's given me 3-star vibes. I have no major issues with it or anything, but here are like my 3 notes that are like the standouts so far. So when I was reading yesterday, we have Lane in the present day talking to her grandfather, and she says something, you know, actually let me mute my phone because at nighttime it goes off a lot. Okay, so she's talking to her grandfather and she says something where I was like, wait, what? Who's she talking about? Because I am, you know, doing the audiobook and I'm playing Sims while I'm doing that, which I usually can I'm hearing it, you know, I'm usually understand what I'm reading, but I had to go back because I was like, what? And then later on I did get more confirmation. So yes, do look up the trigger warnings for this book before reading it, because what it is, there's not like a direct trigger warning on Fable. I guess it would be under some form of abuse. It is under some form of abuse, but I was just like, whoa, because we get a flashback scene from one of the former Roanoke girls, or one of the Roanoke girls from the past, and I was just like, oh, we're going there. I'm gonna say it's something that HBO loves to put in their shows, and I just was not expecting it at all. By this blurb, like, it says the family has their secrets and everything, and how love and how things can be torn apart. I wasn't expecting it. But my theory, y'all know, Allegra has gone missing. I think she got pregnant and went on the run after that. Like, she didn't want her child to grow up the way that she did, or, you know, she just ran away because of being pregnant and didn't want to deal with the consequences, I guess. So that's my theory. Again, just a theory. And also, I'm not loving Lane as a character, especially like the present day Lane. I mean, we're most likely going to see what built to her being the kind of person that she is, but I'm not loving her. I'm not really liking her. And as I always tell y'all, you can have, should I pull the book out? No, it's up on the top shelf, but you can have unlikable characters and still have an intriguing story. So I do still think that's possible, because it's not like I hate her or anything. She's kind of holier than thou, kind of better than everybody else. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, or maybe kind of thinking everybody should treat her a certain way, something like that. So I'm not loving her as a character, but this is all around giving 3-star vibes. Some crazy lighting to be dealing with during the Kidnap book review. So I finished the book. I'm giving it a 2.5. Yeah, I usually don't do decimals for nonfiction, but the first half, that was the crime and investigation. It was good. I enjoyed it. It started out strong. Narrative nonfiction, really immersing you into this story. Next, we go into the trial and the appeal, and that is where it got a bit much for me. The chapters were long. It had a lot slower of a pace. It was mainly dialogue, and it was just like boom, 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 and I would get lost or confused when that was going on for 30 pages in length. And as I said, a lot of that stuff just goes over my head, so that's just a personal issue with me. If you're somebody who's into that, you might like that. And I also want to make note that I am not somebody who typically reads true crime. This book was a gift, and I'm somebody who is willing to give any and every genre a go. Like, I will try everything, because I do think you'll find something you like in every genre, but you're also going to find stuff that you don't like in every genre. I think this case really started, this case really was like the foundation of how missing person and kidnapping cases are done today and how they're investigated. I think this really was just like what kicked it off of how modern day cases are handled. And again, it was really intriguing and fascinating to read that first part, and just how child exploitation, how you can kind of blame that, which I don't think that had anything to do with this case, but at first that's what, you know, people thought was going on, and how that is still something that, you know, a lot of celebrities ask for their babies and kids not to be photographed. And I think some of that probably does stem back all the way to the 1930s to this situation. So I would not recommend this book, but as always, if it sounds intriguing to you, then give it a go, because every book is different for everybody. Okay, time for the update on The Power of the Dog. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm having like vertigo right now, so I feel like I'm like on a boat. So, you know, if I look like, I don't know if I'm actually like doing like that. I don't think I am, because I just did that. So let me tell you out the description. So Art Keller is an obsessive DEA agent. I've only struggled with the double R in Spanish. So wrong. Brothers run a drug empire. Nora Hayden is a jaded teenager who becomes a high-class hooker. Father Parada is a powerful, incorruptible Catholic priest. Callahan is an Irish kid from Hell's Kitchen who grows up to be a merciless hitman. They are all trapped in the world of the Mexican Drug Federation and the rise of the cartels. From the streets of New York City to Mexico City and Tijuana to the jungles of Central America, this is the first 2 decades of the war on drugs like you've never seen it. An explosive novel of the drug trade. The Power of the Dog takes you deep inside a world riddled with corruption, betrayal, and bloody revenge. So that's what the book is about. I read 5%, so this is another one that I think will take me around 10 days to read, but I do have my notes here. I read 28 pages, by the way, and with our prologue, you're put right into it. The brutality of it, and just, it doesn't feel real. Like, it feels like a movie or something, you know, that everything that they're seeing, or that Art is seeing, it is just like, whoa. And just automatically shows you how brutal the drug wars were. This is taking place in 1975. Our prologue was in the 90s, but then we jump back to our main story, which is in 1975. Right after Vietnam, our main character, Art, our character right now, Art is a Vietnam vet. He was in the CIA and has now just wanted something easier, you know, not as deadly. You know, that's what he thinks going into the DEA. That he thinks that's what it's going to be like. He doesn't realize how brutal these wars are going to get. And it's almost like, I feel like this kind of happened without Vietnam, because it's like, do we really need to be interfering with these other countries? Because like Vietnam was the threat of communism, this is the threat of drugs in America, and like I never knew that Richard Nixon was the one to start it. Like I thought Ronald Reagan was. I've only seen Narcos Colombia, by the way, so not Narcos Mexico, so that's why I know Mexico was like before Colombia. Like we as in America was handling with the Mexicans before the Colombians, but you know, just never registered. We are in Mexico in this. But yes, the tone is the same as Narcos. Like, oh my gosh, I am loving that. And it really reminds me of Ken Follett, especially if we're going to have this large cast of characters that are, you know, on the back of the book. It's really giving Ken Follett, like, this is giving major dad book vibes. Like, reading is for everyone, but I know we're always like, dad books, you know, certain kinds of books for certain groups of people, you know, stereotyping. But yeah, it's definitely dad book vibes. But I will say it is kind of like choppy, and I almost pictured it like bubbles. We are having flashbacks and then the present, and it's just like we're going between these bubbles, like popping a bubble, going to that, going to that, going to that. That's how I feel with the flow of the story. And as I was saying, describing this, comparing it to Vietnam, Art's boss tells him, look, these people are not our pals or our drinking buddies, they're our targets. And it's, yeah, really dehumanizing the people of Mexico and the people that they're supposed to, you know, to be handling in Mexico. It's dehumanizing them. So those are my notes for the first 28 pages of The Power of the Dog. I am enjoying it. I'm quite enjoying it right now, so hopefully it is time to do my update on The Power of the Dog. So it does look like this will be a book that takes me about 10 days to read. I'm reading about 10% a day, meaning I am around the 15% mark, because on every single app it has a different percent. But that's going to be our rough estimate. I got to page 72, so as you can see, we are not that far into the book. But I do want to go over our notes. So our first chapter was still the same chapter as yesterday. It was like nearly 2 hours long, but these chapters are just like, I don't know, in these kind of books, they're easy to pause during because it's just a lot of building, you know. Also, if you like S.A. Cosby, I think you might like this book because it's, you know, that action kind of story again. Like a dad book. It's that kind of vibe. Like action movie is what I was saying when I was trying to say action story. We do have 2 popular quotes from the book to start us out. On page 29, it says, what we lack in subtlety, I don't know how to say it, we make up for with a lack of subtlety. And then in America, everything is about systems. Barrera said in Mexico, everything is about personal relationships. And that's on page 30. And on 34, we are just we change perspectives randomly to this like drug boss. And we also get the perspective of Ardon. And it was just so sudden, because I told you this is a really long chapter, and then we get to the end of the chapter and we're switching perspectives within the same chapter. And I don't know if it's the formatting on the ebook that makes it kind of hard to understand that, oh, we've switched, because let's actually go. So there will be these, you know, like in the physical book, there's these breaks, but it seems like there's a lot of big spaces between just scenes, I guess, just in the scenes. Yeah, it's not really in the physical copy, so that is just the formatting on the ebook, is where I'm just like, why are there such big gaps? And in a minute I will see if I can show y'all. But yeah, I was really thrown off that just in the middle of the chapter we would switch to other POVs, when typically you would just do that, start a new chapter with Adon's point of view, or with Don, I can't remember what the last name was. So also with the character of Art, we're seeing him, as I told y'all, he was a CIA guy in Vietnam, and now he has gone to be in the DEA, and I think he's really starting to realize that all the government's corrupt. Everything is very corrupt, and he is like, this is just a job for him, and sorry, my bangs are like stuck to my glasses, and they were, it's that piece right there, it kept getting stuck to my glasses, and I was like, what's that? So he is just really waking up to realizing the system, how we just said, America, their systems and how things are done, and I think he's just really realizing that everything is screwed, and what can he do about it, you know? And yes, we had all these, okay, well, then we go to chapter 2. So we're with Callahan. Did I mention him? Yes, Callahan, who's the Irish kid from Hell's Kitchen, who grows to be a merciless hitman. So we have him and his friend Obop, and they are living in Hell's Kitchen. They're at a bar, and they kill a guy. So this story is very, we're in New York City in the 70s. So it's given the Deuce vibes. The Deuce is like such a niche is the right word, niche show. Like, not a lot of people know that show. I literally only know it because they were filming it. Like, I walked by when they were filming it. So just very similar vibes to that. So if you like that, you might like this. But so they kill a guy, and now they're dealing with the Italians, and they're Irish. So, well, accent kind of coming out there, and it's going, the mob, they're getting involved with the mob, and that's what's going on in this section of the book. So I'm just saying, we're seeing, this is where it reminds me of Ken Follett, we're seeing this time period with the drug wars from all different kind of perspectives. So far, as I said, we've had Art, who is in the DEA in Mexico, and now we have Callahan, who is some kind of becoming a hitman for the mob in New York. And those are all of my notes for the day. Yes, I am enjoying it. And when I did my essay Cosby comparison, just note this is a lot more dense and longer than his books, like double the length of his books. So do be aware of that if you're somebody who, you know, doesn't really want to read at home. This is over 500 pages. It doesn't really look it, but again, y'all can see. Oh yeah, I wanted to show y'all the gaps on the pages and the, so you see just between the dialogue, like, it's huge. These gaps. So I would say this is where a scene change, but I think y'all can see where I would struggle to see when it's just going, you know, through the normal course of the story, and then when it goes to a different scene, the transitions, which that just is on the Kindle. So maybe this is the way to go. Maybe audiobook's the way to go. I don't know, but I mean, I am enjoying this book. But let's do our weekly wrap up. I have completed one book this week, that being Kidnap. That was my nonfiction pick of the month. I have read over 100, I didn't do the math yesterday to find out, and I didn't write how many pages I read yesterday in Edge of Eternity. I think it was like 7 or 8. We'll do 8, will be nice. So that one, yeah, so I have read over 100 pages every day this week. I don't know about today yet, because I don't know if I'm gonna go into Roanoke Girls or not, because I do have Thursday night football. My team is on Thursday night football, my OG team, and then my current team. I am a wandering soul. Okay, so we, as I said, we've read over 100 pages. We finished one book, and I did haul a book. I didn't show it in the vlog though, so stay tuned for the haul video at the end of the month. So I did haul one book, which, you know, I haven't hauled a book in a while, so that was kind of fun. Next week's vlog will be the reset, and it will still be focusing on the power of the dog. We could go into another book, which could be the Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but for the most part, it's going to be the power of the dog, since, as I said, this is a tome and it's going to take me a little while to get through. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave a leaf emoji in the comments below, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!